Awesome. Well, thank you everyone and welcome to my talk. Let me introduce y'all to y'all. My name is Mason Egger and I am a senior developer advocate at DigitalOcean. I am currently super jealous of everyone who is there right now in person. Really wish I was able to make it out this year, but just didn't play out right for me this time. Hopefully next year I'll get to see everyone in person. But currently I am coming to you live from roughly the Austin, Texas area. So this talk, as you can tell, is going to be a little bit Southern, and we're going to talk a little bit about the word y'all. So I'm from the state of Texas, and a lot of people, when they tend to think of Texas, they think big, and this tends to be a picture that people have in their mind of how big Texas really is. It seems to be all over the internet. It's all over TikTok right now. As someone who has lived in Texas their entire life, I can tell you that this is not an accurate image. A more accurate image would be this one. We are roughly 2 times the size of Jupiter, especially whenever you try to drive outside of the state. But of all the things that I'm going to talk about today, this will be the last of the Texas jokes, hopefully. But what I'm going to talk about today is a word or a phrase that is very common in Texas and very common in just in the South in general. And that is the word y'all. And I'm going to be specifically talking today about how y'all can be used to make your documentation, to make your communities, to make everything more inclusive. So we have a need currently, I would say in tech, for more inclusive language. So how many people in the room, go ahead and raise your hand. I can't see you, but you can pretend that I can see you, have heard a video or seen a presentation start off with the phrase, hey guys, or how's it going guys, or something along those lines, where they're using a gendered term like such as guys. I can't see you, but I would assume there's probably a handful of people who have raised their hand. If not, hopefully a majority, because it seems like every YouTube video I watch tends to be that way. And while this is a popular way of greeting a group of individuals, it is not technically an inclusive one. It is not a gender neutral greeting, and it may not be seen as completely welcoming to certain groups. I know this has been a big topic lately. Like, what do we move to? How do we get to a more inclusive language and more gender neutral greeting? And boy, do I have an answer for you. Oops, didn't mean to say boy there, but we can go with, inclusive language here is really important in our communities. I would say that it's something that we definitely need a lot more of. It makes your communities more inclusive. It allows for you to ensure that people are feeling welcomed and safe, and that's what we really want. If you want much more in-depth specific examples, come see my Write Docs Devs Love talk tomorrow. I'm going to be going a lot deeper into some of these specific things. But for now, for this talk, we're going to be talking about the word y'all. And specifically, y'all, which is the plural form of you. So it's always been interesting to me, as someone who is an English native speaker first, that we really don't have a second person plural that's really prevalent throughout the entire English vernacular. So many different languages have a plural form of the second person personal pronoun. So as someone who grew up in Texas, who took language courses in class, I took a lot of Spanish courses, and the Spanish language itself has this kind of second person pronoun, plural second person pronoun, which is the vosotros or the ustedes, depending on which dialect you're speaking, Spain or Latin American. But English itself doesn't really have it anymore. So it turns out we actually did have a plural form of you in the past. It was really prevalent in the Middle Ages. So in the Middle Ages, the word thou was the singular version of what we would use today as you. So if I was say something like point at a singular person and say thou, that is the you. And then we had the word ye, which was a plural version of thou, that could include a group of people in the second person. However, as all things in language change, as dialects change and just language evolves, it's just the nature of language, this sort of plural form of use has slowly faded away. So how did we get the word y'all? Where did it come from? And it actually came from a handful of different places. In the Scottish dialect, there actually was the phrase ye all. So this was like where ye could be used in the Middle Ages as a plural form of you. Ye all was used in the Scottish dialect and was sometimes, used in the Americas, whenever all the Scottish immigrants came to America, it got shortened to the word y'all. So that's one of the places that it came from, but it's actually, I don't think that is considered one of the most widely known use of it. Like, there are some people that definitely brought it over from Scotland, but I think the more prevalent version of this and where it came from came out of the American South, specifically from the enslaved African American population and their descendants within the South. They were speaking this language and they brought it along and started using it, and it just eventually became part of the colloquial South and is what is considered a Southern term. So it definitely does have a lot of its origins within the southern part of the United States. So how do you use the word y'all? It's actually relatively simple. Y'all equals you all. There, that's all. So instead of saying like one person is you, and then everyone in this room collectively in front of me would be y'all. One of the ways you could say a greeting is you could say howdy y'all. That's a really southern way, and if you've ever been to Texas A&M University, that's their formal greeting of the university. It can refer to an entire group of people. So everyone in this audience, I could go out and say, hello y'all, or how are y'all doing today? But it could refer to a subgroup of people. I'm going to pretend that there's a left, center, and right stage section of the audience, usually with aisles in the middle. And maybe everyone over to my right, which would be left in mirrored camera, this group over here, this would be, I could refer to this smaller subgroup also as y'all. So, y'all, and then there could be 3 different groups of y'all, which, as you can see, can get a little bit confusing. One of the other things that it allows you to do is it allows you to have possessive. So you can have the apostrophe S at the end to make y'all possessive. So if everybody, say in this right-hand side to me that I'm imagining, was standing, I could say, could everyone please take y'all's seats? And you could use it in that form. And then what do we do now, though, if we have, if I'm referring to this group to the right as y'all, but now I have all y'all, which is everyone in the room. Doesn't necessarily have to be done that way, but it can be done that way. So if I'm using it to describe a subgroup, so over here, so pretend the people to my right, it's y'all, and then I want to talk to everyone in the room, I could potentially say all y'all. But that's just one of the ways. It may not be the most grammatically correct, I will admit, but it's funny and it makes me laugh. And if you've ever been to any of the southern parts of the United States, it's definitely a phrase or a terminology that you've heard before. And we can do a couple of other things with y'all, is that we can have contractions, which is fun. So for those of you that aren't familiar with contractions, or we use them every day, but you may not know the definition of them. A contraction is a shortened version of a word in spoken and written forms that basically omits letters and adds an apostrophe in. So y'all is already a contraction. You all, we remove the OU, put the apostrophe there, and we get y'all. Words like can't, don't, won't, it's, these are all singular contractions, which means it removes one singular portion of it. But we do sometimes in English have what are known as double contractions. They're extraordinarily rare and they don't really show up as much, but whenever you get into the southern dialects and you're using y'all, it shows up a lot. So there are a lot of different suffix y'all contractions. So you could say something like y'alled, which adds the D at the end, and it's you all would. You can say y'all, which is really fun to have to enunciate that double L there, and it's you all will. There's y'aller, which I'm laughing at myself just saying these out loud. These are things that I say in my personal life. Like, I guarantee you I use these with like my family and friends and stuff, but it's not anything I've ever given a presentation on. So you all are, and then there's y'all, which is you all have, or something along those lines. And then there are the ways that we can make these questions. So we can use prefix and add the D at the front, so y'all, which would be do you all or did you all, depending on the context. You'd have to really know the context there of the opportunity, of the context of the conversation at that point. So a lot of people are like, well, are we taking this too far? I don't know. Are we? We do have triple contractions. So the one that I definitely hear used the most would be y'all'd've, which is you all would have. So we definitely have that, and it's just as odd as it sounds, but I definitely hear it in my day-to-day. We can combine multiple contractions into another contraction. So we have y'all, which is you all, and then there's also the very popular word in the English language, ain't, which is are not. And you can actually do some really weird, like contractions and bring them together. And that's how you end up getting the word yanked, which is you all are not. And it's the combination of two different contractions. So the question is, are we taking this too far? Maybe. The most ridiculous one I've ever seen is this one, which I don't even know if I can say, but I'm going to make the attempt. Yaldiv if I'd've, which basically is you all would have if I would have. I will say I've never actually heard this one used in passing conversation, but I would not put it past the fact that it's there. So in conclusion of this hopefully funny talk, hopefully I made you laugh, using inclusive language is an easy thing to change and implement into your project. It's not too much of a stretch to just, use these gender neutral terms. Y'all here being one of the joke, but it is a very valuable one to use. It makes everyone feel more welcoming within your community. I would definitely do recommend using y'all. I've used it in my writings and in my personal documentations before. Never really got anything about it. I will say some of the words that I did present in this presentation, especially as towards the end, as it got more and more ridiculous, they may not be as practical, especially for people who don't speak English as a first language, or people who speak it for English as a second language. I speak English as a first language, and I get lost in some of these sometimes. So it was, kind of a joke, but I would definitely recommend using y'all. It's a great word. It's a great intro. It's how I start all of my talks. I say, hey, y'all, or how are y'all doing? I know it sometimes has a little bit of the stigmatization of, the South and, maybe not being as educated. It doesn't sound, sometimes I've heard people say, it doesn't sound as like an educated term, which I don't agree with. So I hope you had fun. I hope you liked this presentation. Thank you for having me here. I hope that you will come by and see my next talk tomorrow. If you have any questions for me, you can tweet me at Twitter, email me at mason@digitalocean.com. And this is an actual sign at my favorite state park in the state of Texas that says, y'all come back. And I hope you all come back for my next talk and continue to enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you very much and have a great day.